He was such a bundle of joy. He was always the type of child that he just always had you laughing. He was always into something, doing something just to make you laugh. He was my happy child. He brought me happiness when he was doing what he was supposed to. March 25th, 2014, I had talked to Brian all day. He had called me that morning. We had talked that morning. He had called me back that afternoon. We talked several times that day. The last time I talked to him was exactly 9:30. And we always ended our conversation with, "I love you." There was nothing different that day. It was just, we talked and he called and he just made sure that he put emphasis on that he knew that I loved him. I often wonder if he had an inclination that day if it was his last. But he told me he was at his destination and that he loved me and he would talk to me later. We hung up the phone, and an hour later, Shamar was killed. I received a phone call, my daughter and I, as about midnight from my ex-husband. And he called and he said that Shamar had been shot in the head and killed. As a mother, I cannot even tell you how I felt at that time. It's a day I will never forget. To hear my daughter scream. Any mother that has carried a child and nurtured that child and watched that child grow, and to have the life snatched out of that child suddenly, it's unbearable. There was nothing I could do. I couldn't go to him. I couldn't, stand in front of the bullet for him. There was nothing I could do. I wouldn't hear, "Mommy, I love you. Mommy, Happy Mother's Day." I would never hear those words again from him. Jeremiah 29:11 says that God knows the plans that he has for us. Plans of good and not of evil. Plans to give us a hope and a future. I just never knew that was in my future. I never knew that was in the plan. I became bitter. I became just hard at heart. I didn't want to be around people. I was secluded. There were times where I could not sleep, did not want to eat, would not go to church, but I continued to pray because I could not understand how God knew this was going to happen and I had no warning. How could you let the enemy take my child? And probably for 6 months, I would not go to church. And one day, I remember, I knelt down to pray. And I began to scream as loud as I could. And I realized how angry I was with God. And I began to ask God, why? Why would you let this happen to my baby? How? And I could do nothing. I would have gave my life for my baby. And the Lord told me, like you, I gave my only son, and he had nowhere to lay his head. And he went from place to place, and I gave him everlasting peace. And that soothed me because I knew there was no more pain, no more shame, no more hurt. And then I began the healing process. Everything that I went through, all the pain and all the hurt, there's nothing that can bring Shamar back. But I have the memories. I have 2 beautiful grandsons that will carry on his name, that are a part of him, that I look at and I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful that I have a part of him. There are days where I miss him, I long for him, the selfish part of me. But there are days where I think, God, I thank you that he don't have to suffer anymore. And today, 3 years later, going on 4, I have a sound mind because I almost lost my mind. I had to go see a therapist, and I thank God for the therapist. And she began to minister to me. And God began to open up doors for me that has blown my mind. So as I sit here today, I can tell you the pain and the hurt, it was necessary to bring me where I am today. I have peace, I have love, I have compassion, and I know I will see him again someday. My name is Katrina Howell. This is my story, my life, my testimony.